Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future homebuyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of homeownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Lo-Fi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. Licensed lender. Broker number ML 338923. Rhode Island licensed lender. License number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Hi there. Welcome to Sports Talk today with R&J. I'm your host, Justin D'Onofrio. Steve should be joining us back again any second now. I think he's had a little bit of technical difficulties there. Let's jump in right into the NBA playoffs here. And last night we had a really good one between the 76ers and the Knicks. The Knicks in a closeout game up 3-1, up 6 points with about 30 seconds left, and weren't able to hold on. Josh Hart misses a free throw late in that game. And then Mitchell Robinson fouls, I believe it's Tyrese Maxey, and Philly gets a 4-point play off of that. And then, it just kind of all fell apart for the Knicks, and it kind of felt like, you're up 6 there, 30 seconds left. You figured you're going to win that basketball game, and, they go up, Hart misses 1 or 2 free throws there. They go up 3, and then Tyrese Maxey comes down and hits a logo 3 to tie it. And the Knicks in the final possession weren't able to hit a shot, and the Knicks came right out in overtime. They took a 5-point lead and kind of felt like it might be able to hang on to this thing after the collapse. And then Tyrese Maxey hits a 3. Joel Embiid goes to the line. Kelly Oubre hits a shot, a couple shots, and the Sixers were able to kind of pull that thing out. And it's a disappointing one because the Knicks, for the first time in 25 years, were looking to clinch a game or series clinch at home, and weren't able to do it. Now you got to go back to Philadelphia.
Alrighty, and I think you discussed that. I think you probably discussed everything at the top, and yeah, it looked like we looked like the Knicks were advancing. They were up 6 points, and Maxey with that shot. And then the foul, and then Maxey hitting the shot, and now the series goes back to Philly. It's a rough loss for the Knicks, but I still think they got a good chance to win the series.
Yeah, I think last night's one of those, man, that how do you respond type games, and the way the Sixers played Sunday and B calling out that crowd, how's that crowd responding Thursday? Do they let the Knicks fans back in that building like they did?
Oh yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one.
Yeah, so we'll see. I think the Knicks still can do it because I don't think Embiid's that's just this might be it for Embiid in Philly. It doesn't I wouldn't be surprised if he wants out of there. Like, the Knicks should be able to kind of finish this thing off. But man, you lose Thursday, all the pressure's on the New York Knicks to close this thing out. So there's a lot of pressure on the Knicks, but yeah, it's been a close, tightly contested series, but you just hope something like that, how things ended last night for the Knicks, doesn't just implode and kind of they can't finish this thing off.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we've got to get to what do the Knicks have to do to win this series. And I think that what they got to do to close the series on Thursday night, and what they need to do is they need more out of guys outside of Hart and Brunson. They need the DiVincenzo's. I know Anunoby was pretty good last night, but these guys like Anunoby, DiVincenzo, Hartenstein, Mitchell Robinson, they need all those guys to be consistent. I think that's a big key for them. if they're going to win this series in 6 or 7 games and move on to the next round.
Yeah, the Knicks, they need knock down the shots. So last night was 10 for 36. I thought they settled a little bit too much at times, and yeah, a couple other guys got to, like Josh Hart. I know is really struggling from three this last night, but like he does a lot of the other little things. But yeah, you need him. You need DiVincenzo to knock down shots. Because the way they've been guarding Brunson, they've had some open ones. Miles McBride had a he's 6 for 11 last night. 14 points again. He's been pretty good, but yeah, you got to hit shots, and that's a big thing for the Knicks. It's, who can help out Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, that's the thing, because Brunson's been doing his part. Yeah, he wasn't great in the first 2 games, but Brunson's been doing his part. He definitely needs help, especially if this team wants to make a huge run in the Eastern Conference playoffs. Brunson's other guys have got to step up, because even in Game 4, he had 47. He kind of carried him to that win.
Yeah, he did. He was awesome on Sunday, and yeah, he did everything he had to do to win that basketball game. But yeah, they're outside of Anunoby, he had 16, McBride had 13, and that was pretty much it. Everybody else was in single digits, and yeah, and again, Brunson's been unbelievable, and he's been on. But yeah, like for this Knicks team to be kind of to really make a deep run now, losing Bogdanovich does hurt that he's gonna be out for the remainder of the year. I know he hadn't played. He hadn't, he was only averaging like 6 points a series, but like that's a guy off the bench that you can rely on to knock down some 3-pointers. So that could be something that hurts him down the line. But like Josh Hart comes out with 17 rebounds. He didn't make one shot, but he came down with 17 rebounds as a guy 6'4" guard. So that's kind of what I love about that Knicks team is like, they just do all the little things well. But yeah, they do need guys besides Brunson to hit some shots for him, and that's the huge key for him.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the guys got to hit, guys outside of Brunson got to hit shots. And if they don't, they very easily could blow the series. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to them in Philly on Thursday night. But we got to move on to the Sixers. And the big question for the Sixers, what do the Sixers got to do to come back in the series? Tyrese Maxey was outstanding last night. 41 points, and he made the big shot to tie that game. He was outstanding last night. He made the big shot to tie the game. But I think for this team to move on, they need more out of Embiid. I know he's been playing banged up, but he only had 19 points last night. He turned the ball over. He did not play. Maxey bailed him out. Maxey bailed him and that team out last night. Embiid did not play that well. And then in game 4, they could not hit a shot at the end of the game. They couldn't hit a shot. So they need Embiid to step up, and they also need Oubre and Harris to play the way they did last night. I thought Harris played pretty well last night, and I felt Oubre stepped up, especially in overtime. Oubre stepped up at the end, so they need those guys to be better if they want to make a comeback and get to the next round.
Yeah, absolutely. Embiid was 7 for 19. Yeah, you hold them to 19 points last night, which is a victory, and yeah, you're still not able to close it out. It's disappointing because, Tobias Harris, that was a miracle game because he hadn't done much at all coming into the series besides last night. And then, yeah, Oubre hit some big shots in overtime. Cameron Payne hit 2 big threes, even Batum knocked down a couple of threes in that game. So, they only got 4, they don't play a ton of guys off the bench, and, Buddy Hield now can't even, see the floor anymore because, he wasn't really doing much on that, earlier on in the series. So, yeah, Tyrese Maxey bailed him out. He had an unbelievable game. And yeah, like if Harris, Oubre, like if those two continue to play well and kind of starts this team, yeah, it's gonna be tough for the Knicks because we just talked about the Knicks have kind of struggled to find consistency from other guys around Jalen Brunson this series. So that's kind of the supporting cast who can kind of hit shots late. Because yeah, Sixers Sunday kind of blew an opportunity. They make a shot for the final 5 minutes. So, yeah, Embiid wasn't great. He's playing pretty much on one leg right now. And yeah, like they need somebody to help out Tyrese Maxey because, it's tough to rely on. He's a good player, but like he doesn't really normally score 47 a night.
No, they need other guys to step up, and they need the MVP. I know he's banged up. I know he's playing. He's gutting it out, but he's got to be better. He's got to be better if he wants to be, one of these clear, arguably a top 5 player in the game. He's got to be better than he's been, especially the last 2 games in the series.
Yeah, because he is pretty banged up, and maybe an advantage too now for the Knicks is with he's only got 1 day of rest here coming up for that leg. So, yeah, because he is he was not great. You just see he's not healthy. The conditioning's not there. Like Sunday, that fourth quarter, he had no points and 1 rebound. Like he's not healthy. Like he's just trying to play on one leg and. Yeah, he kind of hurt them at times. He had some really bad turnovers last night. He was only 7 for 19 from the floor. He did hit some free throws there. You know, late fourth quarter, I believe it was, or in overtime that, did help him out, did help his team out there. But yeah, he definitely needs to play better. But again, I just with only 1 day of rest coming up, how much he's not going to get a lot healthier here. So I think that's one advantage for the Knicks is not a lot of time off here for Embiid.
Yeah, and how do you think the series ends? I picked Knicks in 7 before the series started. With all of Embiid's injuries and his inconsistent play at times, I'm gonna go. I think the Knicks close it out on Thursday night. I think they close it out and get to the second round. I'm going Knicks in 6.
I'll go Knicks in 7. I think the Sixers find a way Thursday night, but New York's able to kind of survive the 3-1 series collapse, and they do find a way at the Garden to finally close one out for the first time in 25 years.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. Yeah, because when they closed out their series against because they closed out their series last year, they were in Cleveland. When they closed out their series, I mean, years ago, I think they were in Boston. They didn't win any playoff series in 11 and 12, and then then they closed out Miami. It was in I think it was in Miami. I think when they closed out Toronto it'd be the first time since the Knicks Pacers series in '99, and ironically, they're very close to playing the Pacers. And and speaking of teams that stayed alive or couldn't clinch last night, the Bucks stayed alive and they beat the Pacers 115-92. The Bucks were led by Bobby Portis and Chris Middleton. Portis with both with 29 points apiece, and the Bucks without Dame and Giannis, they stayed alive in their series. And the big question for the Bucks is what do they got to do to come back and win this series? It's going to be still very, very difficult without Dame and Giannis. It's going to be very, very difficult for them to come back without Giannis and Dame. But what they got to do is they got to keep having guys like Bobby Portis and Chris Middleton who stepped up in the series. He's had a good series. They need Chris Middleton and Bobby Portis to continue, and Patrick Beverley to continue to step up if they want to come back and win the series. But if Dame or Giannis doesn't come back, it's going to be very, very difficult for them to win the series. It's going to be very, very difficult for Milwaukee to win the series.
Absolutely. The Pacers blew a huge opportunity last night to finish them off because I know Giannis was going to try to give it a go during practice. Obviously, he wasn't ready enough, it seemed like, because he wasn't dressed. But so yeah, I don't know if he's going to go Thursday. I don't think he would. But yeah, the Pacers kind of blew an opportunity there. Bobby Portis Sunday, he got ejected 5 minutes in, and that was maybe one of the dumbest things you could do because they're already kind of hurting depth wise. And but he really stepped up last night. Chris Middleton had 29 as well. Patrick Beverley knocked down some shots for him. Like their five stars were all double digits last night. Like and then I thought the Bucks too brought it defensively on the intensity. That's something too that they have to. They got to bring the intensity defensively because that's been their big weakness all season long. Something that we've talked about since October. And but yeah, like Portis and Middleton got to play well again, and then they got to bring it defensively.
Oh yeah. They got to bring it. Yeah, you're right. They definitely got to bring it defensively. They definitely got to contain Siakam and Halliburton, especially in Indiana where they've struggled. They've lost 2 games in Indiana, so. It's going to be hard without Dame and Giannis, but if they could defend and maybe get to a 7th and maybe get one of them back, that'd be huge for them.
Yeah, they absolutely would because if those two are healthy and ready to go, I would think at home they beat Indiana. So, and it would be tough for Indiana too to kind of blow a 3-1 series lead without those two and without Lillard or Giannis playing in a couple of those games. And yeah, you just blow an opportunity, which it's a young team, I know, but it's kind of one of those that could have gone on a run there. You got to, could have played maybe you get to maybe the Knicks or Sixers. So yeah, the Pacers, they have played them well at home. They could put up a lot of points. Again, they could get a really hot shooting night and knock off the Bucks. But yeah, they got to, Siakam's he's got to get going again, and because he was a mismatch nightmare for most of the series. And Halliburton too's got to knock down more shots. And again, I kind of want him to attack more. Like I don't like he took 10 threes last night. Like he's got to get to the rim. He didn't get to the line at all. That's a big part of his game. So I want to see him attack more in Game 6.
Yeah, exactly. And now going to the Pacers, what do they got to do to close this thing out? They need Siakam. Obviously, they need Siakam and Halliburton to be better. I mean, were really good in games 3 and 4, and Siakam was great in game 2. They need Siakam and Halliburton to be better. They both had rough. Halliburton was pretty good, but Siakam only 12 points last night. They need their stars to be stars to get to the next round.
Yeah, they absolutely do. And it's a stars league, and yeah, you need well in the big games, especially in Game 6, and especially at home because you don't want to go back to Milwaukee for Game 7. So yeah, Siakam had an awesome series, and especially in Game 1 and Game 2, and last couple Milwaukee's done a better job of keeping them in check. And Halliburton, yeah, just kind of trying to go to the basket more, I think would be huge for him. If they can get Aaron Neesmith going as well, because he's a really good shooter. I know he only knocked down one shot last night. Like he's another one that could kind of really spread you out. So yeah, the Pacers, those guys gotta play well, and then hopefully Naismith, Miles Turner, Nembhard can knock down some shots as well, and really kind of help out Halliburton and Siakam, take some of the pressure off them.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, yep. Oh, yeah, and that's a good point, bringing up the role players for the Pacers. Those guys like Miles Turner, definitely. Neesmith, those guys. Yeah, they could. Yeah, because last night, Neesmith only had 7 points, Turner had 13. They really didn't take the pressure off those guys, so they lost by 23. Yeah, they can take the pressure off of those guys. That's really going to help them.
Yeah, absolutely. It will, because it's a young team. They don't have a ton of kind of older guys that they have. There's a lot of guys kind of still in their 20s on that team, so they don't kind of that veteran guy that kind of can calm you down in a big moment or kind of when things are going poorly. So yeah, you can get off to a nice hot start. Those guys can kind of help out, be huge for the Pacers.
Yep, definitely. So we will move on to to another team who is up 3-2, and that is the Cavaliers. They beat the Magic last night in a really close game, 104-103. Cleveland is 1 win away from getting to the second round. Will probably face the Celtics in the second round. But the big question is what do the Cavs have to do to close this thing out? And I think Mitchell's going to be better from 3-point. He's played well in this series, but he's going to be better from 3-point range. He's shooting 22% from 3-point range, so he's got to be better. And again, other guys around him need to be more consistent. Guys like Garland, Okoro, Mobley, and Strauss, they need to be more consistent if this team wants to close it out on Friday night, or even if the team wants to make a deep run in the playoffs.
Yeah, they got to shoot the basketball better. Especially on the road. They were 4 for 17 in Game 4 and 8 for 20 or 8 for 34 in Game 3. That's both games they shot 23% from 3. You're not beating anybody in this league, and they couldn't even break 90 points. So, yeah, for Cleveland, it's got to shoot the basket. They got to shoot better, and it just kind of and it's been in the third quarter. Like they only scored they scored 10 points in Game 3 in Game 4. They scored 10 points in third quarter, and then 16 in Game 3 in the third quarter. It's been the kind of second half. So starts the second half, and Orlando's taking advantage of that, and have kind of been able to build leads and hold on and kind of win by wide margins on the road, or when Orlando's been at home. And they've been one of the best home teams all year. It's been a tough place to play. They're 29-12 there. So yeah, Cleveland, they got to be able to shoot the basketball on Friday night to have a chance.
Oh yeah, they definitely have a chance to close it out. I think they're going to win the series, but yeah, to have a chance to close it out, definitely. They got to shoot the ball better. And for the Magic to get back in the series, they need other guys to step up around Paolo. You saw in Game 4 when Wagner scored 34 points. They need that, especially Friday night, if they want to even the series and have the chance to play for a Game 7 on Sunday.
Yeah, other guys around Paolo's got to step up. Paolo last night 39. Felt like he took a couple bad shots toward the end there. But he played pretty well again. But yeah, Wagner's got to play better. Gary Harris again kind of gave you 0 points. Like they desperately need a shooting guard in this offseason to that be perfect addition for them. The bench didn't do a ton either. Yeah, they it's kind of guys around him. You need Gary Harris to score something. You can't have him throw up a 0, and then he doesn't get any rebounds, doesn't get any assists. He only played 20 minutes, but yeah, guys around Paolo, then they got to hit their shots as well. It's two teams that are not great behind the arc. But yeah, Orlando needs a couple of those guys to really step up around Paolo and kind of take some pressure off of him because, like last night, he was really the only main threat that was knocking down, 3 points consistently for their team.
Exactly. So for the series, though, I'm gonna go with the Cavs in 6. I think they close it out on Friday night and probably face the Celtics in the second round. I'm gonna go Cavs in 6. I do think they get a road game in this series. I do think Mitchell is a big game. I think they do get a road game in this series, and I picked the Cavs in 6 before the series started.
I'm gonna go Cavs in 7. I haven't liked the way the Cavs have played on the road. I didn't like how they played on the road last year in the playoffs. So I do think Orlando gets them in Game 6. I think Orlando blew their opportunity to win this series last night, and they kept it close. They had a chance to win that game, but I think Game 7, Cleveland does enough. They hold on, and the Cavs face more than likely the Celtics there in the next round.
Alrighty, so the Heat plays the Celtics tonight in Game 5. I think it's pretty obvious that we know the Celtics should close them out, even though they've have had struggles at home the last 2 years in the postseason, which is a little weird for a team as good as the Celtics that they've struggled at home that this much in the postseason. But Celtics up 3-1 on the Heat. It looks like they'll close them out. But the big question is with Porzingis' injury, how much will that affect this team going forward? I think it could hurt their chance to get to the NBA Finals. I think if they get a Knicks, they somehow get the Bucks with Lillard and Giannis, or even get the Sixers with Max and Embiid. I think it could hurt their chances of getting. I think it definitely in the conference finals could hurt their chances getting to the NBA Finals.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to affect Boston the next round. I think they take care of Orlando or Cleveland pretty handedly. Yeah, but conference finals, the Knicks could be a very tough out. The Pacers, the way they play, they can get up and down, and they can get hot one night and find a way to beat you a couple times. And yeah, Philly could be a tough matchup with Embiid and the Knicks with their physicality. So and obviously the Bucks, they got stars in Giannis and Lillard. So yeah, for Boston, this definitely does. Again, they're still the favorite to win the conference, but yeah, this does make their path a little bit tougher. But they need Sam Hauser to he's probably gonna be playing his spot, and Sam Hauser's he can be pretty streaky at times, but like if he's on, he could really he'll give you 15 points, 20 points, and that's kind of you got it Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum there. So as long as it's not a close game in the fourth quarter, you can rely on those two to be big score makers.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. You're right about it being close in the fourth quarter and those guys struggling. But yeah, tonight should be easy. Tonight should be a win. Tonight they should advance to the second round. But it's just gonna be this question of how is Porzingis being out going to hurt them going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. They should be fine tonight. They should be fine in the next round. But yeah, to get to the finals, it could be a little bit problematic. It could make it a little bit tougher than it would be before. Then Frank's comment, yeah, heater done. They won a game this series, so
I know they did. They did do what you say they were going to do, and they won a game. So yeah, and actually they won the game I didn't think they were going to win in Boston, but yeah, the Heat are done. And again, as we said last week, and Frank agreed with us, Heat culture doesn't work when guys are hurt. When Butler's hurt, when Butler's hurt, Heat culture didn't work. And he said as I said they would, and they did. They did win game 2, but yeah, Heat culture doesn't work when you have a guy like Jimmy Butler out, and you've seen the loss of Jimmy Butler in a series like this.
Yeah, you have. They've outside of game 2, they really struggled to score the basketball. They haven't been able to break 100 points, and Frank's right. There's too many injuries. You lost Rozier. It's not their. It just wasn't their year. Which unfortunate. It's always fun to watch those Heat teams play, but yeah, without Jimmy Butler, without Terry Rozier, there's not as many scoring options. And Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero have kind of done what they can, but Boston just has too much around them and just too much more talent. But yeah, so the Celtics should take care of things tonight.
Oh yeah. There's no I think the Celtics win this in 5 and get to the next round. But now moving on, let's see if Frank said anything else. It's okay. Season. Next season finals. We'll see about that. Jimmy Butler's getting a year older, so we'll see about that. But moving on to the Western Conference with the Mavs and the Clippers tonight, they have a pivotal Game 5 The series is tied at 2 games apiece. And the big question is who has the edge in the series with the series tied up 2-2? I said last week it's the Mavs. I'm still going to say the Mavs. I'm still going to say the Mavs because you know why? They got the best player in the court. And Kyrie Irving's playing really well. He had 40 points on Sunday. So the way Luke and Kyrie are playing, I definitely think it is the Mavs. I do think the Mavs have the edge in the series, even though James Harden and Paul George played great in Game 4. Clippers had a 31-point lead and almost lost that game. And with Kawhi out, and you could argue, yes, they've been better without Kawhi in the series, but I don't think Harden and Paul George are going to be enough to carry them through this series, especially when you're going up against a player like Luka, and Luka has a really good number 2 in Kyrie Irving. That's why I do think the Mavs right now have the edge in the series.
I'm actually going to go with the Clippers.
Wow.
Yeah, they've been better without Kawhi. And Luka even said he's not 100% right now. And he's not a guy that's great defensively when he is 100%. So now that he's banged up, and late in that game, they had Max Keebler playing the 5 and
Maxi
James
Kleba.
Harden's floater game. Yeah, Kleba. Yeah, I'm thinking of the cookie brand. But yeah, like he's playing the 5 and James Harden in the floater game. That was working for him. So the Clippers. I know they almost blew the 31 point. They're up by 30 in that game. But I think the Clippers still kind of hold them off. I don't think Luka. He was 1 for 9 from 3. Kyrie Irving played really really well. But I think I think Paul George, the way he's been playing, Terrence Mann hit down a couple shots. Norman Powell did well off the bench. Again, if you can get Russell Westbrook to play a little bit better, I think the Clippers could be in good shape, and they do control home court advantage as well.
They do control home court, and they've had Luka's number. I'll give you that, but I just don't think. I just think Luka is clearly the best player on the floor, and I think they win tonight. And I do think they close it out on Friday night in Dallas, and they get to the second round.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. Luka's been unbelievable. Him and Kyrie had his 69 combined points out of 111 the other night, so I wouldn't be shocked either. They're able to knock him off, and it's a huge series for like with the Clippers because they're about to open that new arena. You just re-signed Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. So you like to go with some with some kind of with some momentum. But yeah, like this is a huge series for him. But I think Paul George tonight at home. I think James Harden continues to play well, and I think they find a way at home to close out a close one against the Mavericks. And I think they do get to sing in 6 games.
Yeah, pivotal game 5 between the Mavs and Clippers tonight in LA. But a couple nights ago, the T-Wolves ended Kevin Durant and the Sun season, and on Monday night, the Nuggets for the second year in a row ended LeBron James and Lakers season. So so now because of that happening, the two are going to play in the next round, and the big question is what do the Nuggets have to do to beat the T-Wolves in this series? And I think what they got to do is have their starting 5 continue to play well, continue to have Murray close out games, and continue to have Jokic be the best player in the league. And if that happens, the Nuggets will get back to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, for the Nuggets, yeah, there's we're starting with the Nuggets, yeah, like Jamal Murray's got to knock down some shots here. Like he wasn't great in that series. I know maybe some rest here is going to help him out, but he kind of struggled to kind of find a shot in that series against the Lakers, and the Nuggets weren't great. Like the Lakers controlled most of that series with the lead. Again, they couldn't close out most of those games, but the Lakers were the more dominant team for most of those games, and then the Nuggets find a way in the second half to kind of come back and win those games. But it's just they don't have the bench this year, which does kind of concern me. But the Nuggets, yeah, they got to find Jamal Murray's got to find a way to kind of knock down his shots, and hopefully somebody off the bench can help him out as well and be a scoring option.
Yeah, bench has got to step up a little bit in the series because the Timberwolves are playing really well, especially Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards was phenomenal in that series against the Suns. He did that huge dunk to close out Game 4 in Phoenix, and Anthony Edwards had 40 points in that game. He's playing like a top 5 player in the league right now. And for me, the big keys for the Timberwolves are continue to have Ant-Man play the way he has, and then have one of the best defensive players in the league, Rudy Gobert, contained Nikola Jokic. It's going to be a hard series for the T-Wolves to win, but with the way they played this against the Suns, I wouldn't be shocked if they pulled the upset and sent the Nuggets home.
No, I wouldn't either. And something too with the T-Wolves that many teams can't do is you can throw two bodies at Jokic, even three. Actually, you could throw Gobert, you could throw Carl Anthony Towns, you could throw Nas Reed at him, like and kind of bang around down to the paint against him, and maybe try to wear him down a bit. Jokic, because there's not too many teams that could do that. And the Timberwolves supporting cast played really well against Phoenix. Jaden McDaniels had a really good series, and again, he's already a terrific defender. So like Sunday night, he gives you 18 points. That's a huge bonus for you. And Mike Conley, knocked down 10 points, but he's still a steady point guard there. And Nas Reed won third or sixth man of the year. I thought it should have gone to Monk, but that's another story. But he's been good off the bench as well, and he's a good defensive guy as well. So the Timberwolves, there's a party that really wants to take the Timberwolves and think they can knock them off, but with the maybe the Timberwolves have gotten over that kind of postseason woes that they've had over the last 2 decades. So maybe that kind of corrected going against beating Phoenix in a sweep, but I was really impressed with the way they played against the Suns.
You definitely got to be. And for this series, I'm still going to go with it. Even though I'm really impressed with the Timberwolves, I'm still going to go with the Nuggets. I'm still going to go with the Nuggets because I think they're the best team in the NBA. I'm going to go with Nuggets in 6. I still think they're the best team in the NBA, even though Ant-Man's been great for the T-Wolves. I still like the Nuggets in the series in 6.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going with 6. Jokic. Jokic he's so good, and Michael Porter had a really good series, and I think Jamal Murray bounces back and does kind of find his shot in this series, and because he shot less than 30% round 1 there, so I think he plays well, and I think Reggie Jackson's able to give him something as well off the bench here, and I do think the Nuggets do win the series 6 games.
Yeah, I think so. Nuggets in 6. Now, moving on to the team the Nuggets beat the last 2 years in the playoffs, and that's the Lakers. And the big question for the Lakers is, what's next for the Lakers? What's next? What's next for LeBron James? And I think for LeBron, I think he's back. I think he likes his lifestyle in LA. I know he's a player option going into this year, but I think he's back. I think he's gonna opt in. I think he's back, and he's gonna play for the Lakers next year.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm tired of I may retire, all that. He likes to be in the news a lot, but yeah, I think he'll be back. I think, for that, you probably see a new head coach. The way he kind of was it game 3 after he kind of called out, he wasn't happy with him, and LeBron throwing the throwing the tantrum that he had after he didn't challenge there in game 4, I think it was. Acting like he was 5 years old. So you're probably going to see a new head coach. I just saw that, and I don't know what their cap is, but could they add a third guy who's like younger? I don't know if they have the money to do that, but they need somebody younger to help out AD and LeBron.
Yeah, exactly. They need a third guy who's younger, and I'm with you there. I think Darvin Ham is gone. I think they're gonna have a new coach. When LeBron doesn't like the coach, he gets fired. And I just think that's going to happen to Darvin Ham. I think Ham's days as a Laker coach are coming to an end. But we're going to give our winners and losers of the NFL draft from last week. But before we do that, we are going to hear from our friends at JPEG Financial and Shamrock. We're going to hear from our friends at JPEG Financial and Shamrock Home Inspections.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? How often are you thinking about it? The team at JPEX Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies in the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident in your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website and give us a call at 860-430-5397. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. JPEX Financial Group, LLC is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. JPEX Financial Group is located at 78 Eastern Boulevard, Glastonbury, Connecticut. There's no bigger investment than home ownership. And to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.
All right, the NFL draft has come and gone. I mean, I think, you know, the way to recap this is the Falcons made a completely head-scratching move. I mean, that was just I did not get that at all. And the the quarterbacks that went so high, 6 quarterbacks going in the first 12 picks, and then 23 offensive players. A defensive player wasn't taken until number 15, with the Colts taking Latau out of UCLA. So yeah, a lot of offensive players taken, 6 quarterbacks taken in the first 12 picks. So a lot of these desperate teams like the Vikings. Vikings traded a spot up to get J.J. McCarthy, like the Broncos, and I knew the Broncos were taking at Bo Nix, and then you got the Falcons, and the Falcons made absolutely no sense at all taking Michael Penix. Now you're pissing off Kirk Cousins. Michael Penix isn't going to get on the field till like year 3. It was just a really, really bad situation in Atlanta. To me, that was the one thing in this draft that made no sense, and it definitely is the biggest storyline.
Yeah, so this is the same organization that Bill Belichick wasn't good enough for him. Lamar Jackson wasn't good enough for him.
Yeah, crazy.
Says something a lot. Says a lot.
Yeah, their GM, this draft could very easily get him fired.
Oh yeah, it should. Well, you see Arthur Blank had that conversation. Arthur Blank in the war room afterwards. I think he had to explain himself because they messed up. Because they messed up last year. They could have got Jalen Carter, who played in your backyard.
I know, and they drafted a running back, and they had a running back who ran for over 1,000 yards. Yeah.
Yeah. This organization makes no sense. They met because, I think Michael Penix is the second best quarterback in this class, but he's already 24, 25. You're going to wait 2 years. And Kirk Cousins coming off the torn Achilles, so Penix isn't going to get reps here. So Penix is going to get a lot of reps. So it's a weird fit for him. I did not understand that one, but yeah, it's the Falcons. It just made no sense. We talked. They need defense, and yeah, the Falcons one made absolute zero sense. That organization is a dumpster fire, and again, they need help defensively, and they could have got better last Thursday night, and they didn't. And then the Broncos one, kind of knew that was coming, but there's so many holes to fill, and you didn't have a pick after from 12. Their next pick was 70th. You really couldn't get better. Bo Nix is not going to help you. You had so many other holes to fill. So those two are the big ones, and the defensive guys. It's there's some good ones that kind of fell through the cracks that teams got in the mid teens and 20s that are really good defensive players that 5-10 years ago probably top 10 guys, but everybody's so worried about the offense nowadays.
Exactly. And for the Broncos, they needed a quarterback, but I think they probably should have tried to trade down to get some picks, maybe get an extra second round pick if they were going to take Bo Nix in the first round, because Bo Nix is not a first round talent, but they did need a quarterback. So if you were going to do that, I would have traded down.
Yeah, absolutely. They could have used the extra picks, and I think Bo Nix is a career backup. I'm not a huge fan of him. I know they had his teammate Troy Franklin, who's a pretty good wide receiver, but there's so many holes. You could have traded back and got Bo Nix later. I don't think anybody was really threatening to take him anytime soon in the first round. So Broncos could have done a lot more.
Definitely. They definitely could have done more. They definitely could have done more. But I do like the fact they got their quarterback. I do like the fact they got their quarterback and they got Troy Franklin. I like that fact. But yes, you're right. They definitely could have traded down. They definitely could have. But now we will go to our winners and losers of this draft. And for me, we'll go from 1 to 5. My top winner is the Steelers. I think the Steelers crushed it in this draft. I think they did. Look, you don't know obviously until 2-3 years out. But I think the Steelers crushed it in this draft. They crushed it. I think they got 2 offensive linemen. They're going to help them right away with Frazier and Fonte, the guy from Washington. They're going to get 2 offensive linemen. They're going to help them right away. Oh, they got Peyton Wilson, a linebacker at NC State. That's a steal right there. Peyton Wilson's a steal. That's a steal right there. And really, they really didn't reach on anyone until the last couple picks in the 6th round. So I think the Steelers crushed it in this draft. They're my number 1 winner. Number 2, I'm going with the Eagles. I hate to say it, but I'm going with the Eagles getting the top 2 cornerbacks in this draft with Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. They got 2 of the top corners in this draft. Pretty much they got Quinion Mitchell in the 1st round, and he fell right to them at 22, and then they end up getting traded up for Cooper DeJean. So they're really, really good moves for the Eagles. They also, they got a reunion. They got Jeremiah Trotter's son. He's gonna be playing for the Eagles too, just like his father did. So, I think the Eagles. Had another really good draft. Number 3, I'm gonna go with the Cardinals. Really didn't reach with any of their first 4 picks. I think they did the right thing at 4, getting Marvin Harrison Jr., getting that weapon for Kyler Murray. Then they focused on defense. They got Darius Robinson out of Missouri. They got Melton, the corner out of Rutgers in the 2nd round. So I think they focused on defense in the 2nd round. I think the Cardinals, they got a lot of players. I think this was a really, really good draft for the Cardinals, and this could be the draft that starts to turn this franchise around. Number 4, I'm going to go with the Bears. I'm going to go with the Bears, obviously getting Caleb, but then getting Rome Odunze. I really like Rome. I mocked Rome Odunze to go there. I really like them getting Rome Odunze, and the pass rusher they got from Kansas. I think that's a steal as well. So I like the Bears. And then last, the Colts. I like what the Colts did. I like them getting Latu. I like them getting trading up to get A.D. Mitchell. So I really like what the Colts did there as well. Justin, your winners from the draft.
I got top 2. I got the same as you here. I got the Steelers as well. Yeah, Peyton Wilson is a steal. It's for him. It's been the injury concern. That's why he was a 4th round pick. Like, he's a guy that if healthy, is like a 1st, 2nd round game. Great at the lowest. So that like they picked an absolute steal if he could stay healthy. And like Troy Fontenot, kind of fits what they want. He's really good in the running game. And then Roman Wilson coming in wide receiver. He's a pretty good run blocker, and also it's like a number 3 wide receiver. I think he did really help out that Steelers offense. So I like what they did. Offensive line, the needs. They got something on defensive line, Steelers know usually what they need, and they usually do a pretty good job addressing it in the draft. And then my second one was the Eagles. Yeah, they had one of the worst secondaries in the league last year, and they really did a great job addressing it. And then Will Shipley's a little, but like a reach, but like he's kind of what Philly wants, like a running back that just kind of does a little bit of everything. So, I wouldn't be shocked if, he carves out a role there. And then, Trotter too, the linebacker spot. And he's a guy that could cover running backs, which I think Philly's really, with kind of the aging of their linebackers, have really struggled the last couple of years. So Trotter could kind of come in and help them kind of fill in that role. And then Anaya Smith, the wide receiver, he was like a top 5 guy who's like more of a gadget guy, takes A&M, but like I think he's somebody that the Eagles use him right, could be a really good weapon for him. So I really like what the Eagles did. My third one was staying in the NFC East. I thought the Commanders did a pretty good job in the draft. Obviously they got Jaden Daniels, they got Johnny Newton in the 2nd round.
Yeah, that was a steal. That was a steal.
Yeah, that's a guy that could have gone mid first. I like the corner they got out of Michigan, Mike Starelli. The tight end, Ben Sinnott, right there, 53. He's a very athletic guy. One of the best receiving ones in the class. And then they did get Christian McCaffrey's brother, Luke, who's been a solid wide receiver down there, Rice. But, hasn't put up the big numbers. Hasn't really had a quarterback really to give him the football. So I thought Washington had a pretty good draft as well. My number 4, another NFC East team, or not East, another NFC team. I took the Lions. I know they didn't do a ton, but again, they got two cornerbacks what they needed. Taron Arnold and Enos Rackstraw Jr. out of Missouri. You know, I know that, and then I like Wingo, who's a guy that if he really puts it all together, gives it 100% every play, could could be in the backfield a lot. And then so yeah, there's maybe a couple that they reach for, and if they get full potential, maybe it works out. But I just like their first two picks. They didn't do a lot. They didn't have a ton of picks, but they really got better again with that secondary now, which was their big weakness. They do plug a hole there. And then my fifth one was the Seattle Seahawks. I really like what they did on the defensive line, adding Byron Murphy, at number 16. Then at 81, getting Christian Hayes, the UConn guy who had an awesome Senior Bowl. Played a lot of football at UConn. But he really developed there, and UConn's offensive line last year, 2 years ago was pretty good. Like that was not one of the big weaknesses of their problem. So I think he's somebody that could go in there right away and start for him. I like AJ Barner, who didn't do a ton at Michigan in the receiving game, but he is a solid blocker. I think like that. I like that they got some offensive. They got another offensive lineman out of Utah who's pretty good as well in day 3. So I like what Seattle did. I thought they had a pretty good draft as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I like the Seahawks draft. I definitely like them getting Murphy with their first pick. But we got to move on to the 5 losers of this draft. And there's one loser that is by far the biggest, and we know who it is: the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, the Penix thing, as we talked about, made no sense. And now, I mean, let's be real. Kirk Cousins by the end of this deal could be requesting a trade, and then you got a $63 million cap hit from him. So they're in a no. Even if Cousins isn't on the team next year, they have that cap hit, so they can't even build the team around Michael Penix Jr. So, and then they retch for 4 or 5 guys. Terrible draft for Terry Fontenot. This is supposed to be a weekend where you really can't be wrong, and they're already questioning Terry Fontenot. It's just a terrible draft for him and a terrible draft for the Falcons. Number 2, I'm going to go with the Raiders. The fact is, they didn't come away with the quarterback. They didn't come away with the quarterback. They're going to have to go into the season with Gardner Minshew as their starting quarterback. So I'm gonna go with the Raiders. And they didn't take what their biggest needs were. They didn't take a corner or a tackle until the 3rd round. So I'm going to go with the Raiders at number 2. At number 3, the Browns. They really didn't address depth on the depth with their pass rush. And they didn't draft a running back after they have a running back coming off a torn ACL and Nick Chubb. So I think I would go with the Browns at number 3. Number 4, I'm going to go with the Cowboys. Did not take a running back, and they took a receiver in the 6th round. So I didn't love what the Cowboys did. And then lastly, I know they've addressed their needs, the Bills, but I just didn't like them trading with Kansas City and helping KC get Xavier Worthy. So I didn't like what Buffalo did there. Justin, your 5 losers of this draft.
Yeah, number 1 was Atlanta. I already talked somewhat. I won't spend a ton of time on them, but yeah, the Penix one is just tough. You mentioned that they reached on a lot of guys, and the best part with the Penix one was like, yeah, we fell in love with them during the workout or whatever. It's like you can't take much stock in the workout, but it's a very head scratching move there, and they did not get much better. I felt like, and I love Penix, but yeah, that's a guy that could be 28, 29 the first time he gets a start. So big miss there. My second one was Cleveland. I didn't like their draft. Michael Hall, it's really kind of the only pick that I really love that they had. And I know they didn't have a lot there. It just kind of felt like a mess. Wide receiver room didn't get much better there. My number 3 was the Denver Broncos. The Bo Nix pick was just to me, they just needed they have so many other needs, and to reach for him at 12, I just did not like it. Yeah, maybe some of their other picks do kind of help them out, bail them out there, but like they do like Troy Franklin. I don't, Chris Abrams Drenane out of Missouri, like, yeah, he's probably like he could be a steal for him, but like I don't think he's really gonna make a big impact year 1 as your starting cornerback. So number 4 for me, I didn't, was the Carolina Panthers. I didn't love it either. Like the trading up from 33 to 32 to get Xavier Legette, like I didn't understand that move at all. Because you gave up another pick for that. Jonathan Brooks, who's coming off an injury, you already have Miles Sanders you paid. You have Chuba Hubbard already on your roster. Jonathan Brooks is coming in. already hurt, who may not even be ready for the season. So this is a guy that might not even be able to help you much out at all this year. I didn't love their draft. And then my fifth one was as well the Cowboys. Yeah, they didn't get a wide receiver till really late in the draft. Guyton, um, might not be a bad choice for him. It does fill a need, but yeah, they didn't, they need a running back. They didn't land one. They didn't draft one at all. They did help the offensive line, but that was about it. Because you mentioned it too. They didn't really get a wide receiver either, and they didn't get a corner till day 3 as well either.
Yeah. I think the Cowboys didn't had a rough draft. I think I know they improved the offensive line, but I think it was not the best draft for the Dallas Cowboys. But we'll move on to the Pats and Giants. We'll start with the Giants draft, and I love what they did at number 6. I really did. I know there's the rumors, the thing that scares me a little bit is the Drake May stuff. The fact they were actively trying to trade for Drake May, but I'm happy they didn't reach on a McCarthy at 6 or a Penn. They didn't reach on anyone at 6. They took the best player they took the player that fit them the best, and that was Malik Neighbors. Gave Daniel Jones a number 1 receiver that he really has not had in his entire career. So I really, really like the Neighbors pick at 6. I like the Newman pick too. They needed a free safety. I think he's gonna plug and play. He's gonna come right in there and start and replace Xavier McKinney. So I like the Tyler. He was an All-American, an All Big Ten and All-American last year at Minnesota. So I like the Tyler Newman pick. Phillips, I think maybe could be a nickel corner for them. He could help them out in the nickel. Theo Johnson from Penn State, as I know him well, I think he could maybe, there's a good chance Waller retires. So I think he could, he'll be kind of the backup to Daniel Bellinger, and I think he'll see some snaps. Tyrone Tracy, I think Tyrone Tracy's going to see some snaps. Especially, I think him and Devin Singletary very easily could do that. Could be the Giants' running game. He definitely is going to split carries with Devin Singletary. And then the last guy they picked I think it was kind of a reach there, but that's nitpicking. I think that overall this was a really good draft for the Giants. I think this was a really, really good draft. I'm just so happy they didn't take a quarterback in this draft. They gave Daniel Jones one more year. I know there was the Drake May rumors, but they gave Daniel Jones one more year, and they gave him the number 1 receiver that he needs to succeed in that he needs to succeed this year.
Yeah, the Drake May rumors that kind of really started showing last week where they end up getting Neighbors, which is good because even if you did a draft to Drake May, you're really gonna have a $40 million quarterback sitting on your bench next year.
No.
Like it doesn't. I think that's not really helping your team. So I like Neighbors coming in. Yeah, Todd Dubin too is a nice pickup, and Tyrone Tracy, like that, he started as a wide receiver at Iowa and then moves, goes to Purdue, and they changed him to a running back. So that's somebody too that's really good at kind of make guys miss. He could, he kind of be more of a gadget guy too. Like, if they use him the right way, and Dable's got a pretty creative offensive mind. So maybe, they kind of use him in a couple of different ways that that could be fun to kind of see the Giants use him. But yeah, I thought the Giants did a really good job of addressing some of their needs. They didn't really. The only one that I feel like they didn't get was like an offensive lineman. I think it's like the only one they kind of say, yeah, could have gotten somebody to kind of help out, but on that. But I thought other than that, they did a pretty good job of addressing some of the needs there. Getting the secondary, getting another running back. So I thought overall the Giants had a pretty good draft.
They did, and yeah, you definitely can criticize the not taking an offensive lineman. They did address it in free agency, getting Stinney, getting Runyon, getting Emanor. They addressed it in free agency, but yes, you can never have enough offensive linemen. Like in the 6th round, that definitely could have been a chance for them to take an offensive lineman. So that definitely is the one criticism. But overall, I mean, time's going to tell. But I am happy with the draft that they had.
Yeah, I thought it was a solid draft. I thought they did a good job. I thought, they did get better over the weekend. So that's kind of all you kind of hope for coming out of the draft is, that your team did improve in some way and in a couple different areas. And yeah, you got more depth to an area that you needed. So yeah, I thought overall the Giants did come out pretty good on Saturday night.
Now moving on to the Patriots, and I'll give them credit. They did exactly what I wanted them to do Thursday night in the 1st round. Take Drake May, take a quarterback. I know you're not the biggest fan of it, but take a quarterback to start the rebuild of this franchise. It all starts at that position. I'm happy they took Drake May in that spot. Yes, he might not start the year for them, but I think by the beginning of October, he's going to be starting. He probably will take his licks this year, But I feel like this draft with them taking, they did reach for Polk, I feel like, but I like the Baker pick. I like the fact they got 2 offensive linemen too. They got Wallace, even though they retched on him a little bit, and they got Robinson. So I think they did a really good job of addressing the offensive line. I think they addressed the receiver position as well, getting Baker and getting Polk. So I this is for the first time in a while. I'm happy with the Patriots draft. I think the Patriots are going in the right direction. I know they're not going to be good this year, but I think they're going in the right direction.
Yeah, I thought it was a good draft. Look, I love Bill, and we know the GM him, the drafting him hasn't gone over great. It was nice not to draft a kicker or punter in the 5th round this year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I didn't miss that. Because that felt like an every year thing where you just end up cutting them. So I loved how they went pretty much all offense besides getting Dial out of South Carolina, the cornerback. But like that's one area defensively where you do need some more that or like a linebacker too. I guess you could use another one, but but like I like that they got another depth piece. But yeah, like I Polk may be a reach, but I think he's somebody that you know, bigger guy, pretty versatile. So Baker too, that I think could be a major steal in this one. He's super quick, he's got big yard after catchability. Joe Milton was a head scratcher, but it seems like he's going to play tight end, or they're going to try him out there. So it makes a little bit more sense. At the time, I didn't get that one, but playing him at tight end might work. And then, yeah, the offensive lineman ones, Wallace might be a little bit more of a reach. I like Robinson, but yeah, overall, I do think the Patriots had a solid draft, and I like how they really just went all offense here, and that's something that we really haven't done much. But I like how they went about it. We'll see what happens, but I do feel pretty good coming out of it, but yeah, it's gonna be a tough year. I think Vegas has the lowest win total for next year. I think it's 4.5. So, who knows? Next year we might be picking number 1 again, or they're close to the top.
Yeah, I mean it's a 4-5 win team next year. They're going to take their licks, but at least there's a direction and there's a franchise quarterback in Drake May, and I think you've got to be excited with Drake May as the quarterback and having a franchise guy going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I just hope we don't kill his confidence year 1 because we've seen what we can do with that at quarterback very quickly. So I worry about that, but he seems like a very confident guy. He seems like he's ready to step in here and play well and compete for that job. So look, he's I think he's got a lot of development to do here, but we'll see. He's on my team now, so I'm gonna hope he balls out and one day brings us back a Super Bowl. But time will tell.
Yeah, time will definitely tell with Drake May. But we'll move on to baseball. We'll talk about the Yankees and a very feast or famine offense for the Yankees. I think it's a big story with them. They score 15 runs 2 games in a row, and they go to Baltimore and they've scored a combined 2 runs. So the offense has been very feast or famine. We know that Soto has been there all year. Judge has started to heat up a little bit now. So has Rizzo. So has Rizzo.
Verdugo's been good.
Verdugo's been good. Volpe's kind of cooled off a little bit. So I think the thing is their pitching's been decent, but their offense, they got to be more consistent.
Yeah, they absolutely do. They got to be more consistent. Struck out 8 times last night. Yeah, it does. You're hoping Judge over the weekend, he got really hot, and last night he walked, but that was about it from him. He did go 0 for 3. You haven't got much out of Stanton. Torres has been abysmal this year. And then did you see that play defensively that cost them the run in the
yeah.
second? Like, why are you going to third there?
Yeah.
The offense has just been pitiful. Outside, Saturday, Sunday looked really good, and you felt like they were turning a corner. But yeah, the last 2 days haven't been great. And you're facing a guy at Corbin Burns tonight that is a career ERA against the Yankees at a 2.55. So tonight will not be easy for him as well. So time will be tough. But yeah, you kind of felt good coming out of Milwaukee, but where you should have swept, because did you hear why Boone decided to not go with Clay Holmes in the 10th inning?
Why?
Because he was worried about Saturday night, that he needed him again, and you put up 15 runs.
Are you kidding me?
That's Aaron Boone for you right there. Just overthinking things, like one day at a time, Aaron. And so like they should have swept over the weekend, would have been nice. But so yeah, the bats have just been very feast or famine. And Juan Soto, man, he's gotta thank everybody on that team, because they keep struggling. He keeps carrying the lineup. Steinberg have no choice but to pay Juan Soto whatever he wants.
Oh yeah, he definitely will have. Yeah, he's been the guy. He's continued to be the guy this year for this team. Yeah, he has. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is definitely. Soto has definitely carried this team. He's had a great. He's the one guy on this team that has had a great year. He really has. He's the one guy on this team who's had a great year. Now we'll move on to the surprising Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox have played pretty well. They swept. They took 2 out of 3 from the Cubs, and they're starting pitching 6 shutouts this year. I think that's the big storyline for the Red Sox right now.
Yeah, it's did not see this coming. Especially with all the injuries they had. Bellows now on the IL. They've had Pivetta. Obviously Lucas Giolito that was kind of the one signing. Like they've had a ton of injuries. Like they just signed actually Dominic Smith, the former Met, because Garrett Cooper they got last night, or he got DFA'd. He broke. I don't think it's. Got hit in the wrist, got pulled. But yeah, so like all the injuries, like it's been every week that or every day that it just feels like the Yankees the last couple years. Every day there's a new guy on the AIL. But yeah, Carter Crawford's been really good. Tanner Houck looked really good again on Sunday night against the Cubs. So Cooper, Criswell, who's the guy come out of nowhere, he's looked pretty good. I think he's going tonight for him. So yeah, this starting pitching, which everybody thought was going to be a absolute abysmal for him. It's actually been pretty good and has kept them in a lot of games. And the new pitching coach, Andrew Bailey, probably gets a lot of credit for that.
Oh yeah, I mean, how can Carter Crawford pitching great with ERAs under 2 and 6 shutouts? Still, I mean, Andrew Bailey's done a really good job and has kept this team in the race. And if they pitch this way, they're going to stay in this thing. They pitch this way, they're going to stay in this thing because they've done this despite Devers not having a great year. So yeah, if they keep pitching like this, they're going to stay in this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And they absolutely will. They've been great on the road. They're 11-5. They're 6-8 at home. Even last year they showed at home. So you start playing a little bit better baseball at home, and the pitching staff continues to do what they're doing. Yeah, they got a tough stretch coming up here with the Giants, Twins, and then Braves next week for a 2-game set down there. But yeah, other than that, the Sox starting pitching has been a huge surprise, and it's been a huge bonus for them because by Devers still kind of finally starting to kind of consistently stay on the field now the last week or so. The pitching staff's really kind of bailed them out this offense right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will wrap up. We'll stay in Boston. We'll wrap up talking about a little bit of hockey. And last night, the Leafs beat the Bruins in overtime to keep their season alive. And the big question is for the Bruins, are we in for another collapse in the first round, or will they close this thing out on Thursday night?
I think Toronto gets this into a game 7, but look, Toronto, for people that don't watch a ton of NHL, the Maple Leafs, for all their great success, they've been the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, they can't get over the hump. Yeah, they can't.
No, they can't. No, and they always have a great team. They're always in the playoffs. They haven't beaten the Bruins since 1959 in the playoffs. They've lost 9 straight series to them. It's been that long since they've knocked off the Bruins in a playoff series. So they didn't have Austin Matthews of Maple Leafs last night. They said he had the flu. He left the game Saturday night with flu-like symptoms. Might be back Thursday. I don't know. But they made the goalie change with Wall, and he played unbelievable. So Toronto, they haven't been great at home. The theory is about it. I get their ticket prices are so outrageous that it pretty much like the diehards can't afford it, and it's all corporate. So like they don't have a great home ice venue for the playoffs. Is kind of why they've struggled at home. But the Bruins collapsed last year. Do those thoughts creep back in their head? Because Toronto looked good, but I think the Bruins close out at 7. I'd say Toronto will get game 6 and the Bruins go 7. But if you're a Rangers fan, you're cheering for you're cheering for either one of these two teams to knock off the Panthers because the Panthers are a much better team than either one of these two.
Yeah, it looks like it's seeing that the Panthers beat the Lightning in 5. But speaking of the Rangers, they made it to the second round. They're going to face the Carolina Hurricanes. You got a rematch of a series 2 years ago that went 7 games. And the big question is, what do the Rangers have to do to get to the conference finals?
Well, they got to stay out of the box because they took 6 on Sunday. Wasn't great. And Carolina's thing with the last couple of years of the playoffs is the offense. And they got Jake Gensel at the deadline for Pittsburgh. That's giving them more offense. And since they've acquired them, they're the best team in the NHL. They're the best team 5-on-5 wise. Why the Rangers are average again 5-on-5. So, they can get some special team goals. But Carolina's been good at home. most part in the playoffs, they've had their road struggles out in the playoffs, but the Rangers have the advantage to a goalie. Igor Shesterkin versus Frederick Anderson, who is not great. Thought he played decent against the Islanders, but there's games where the Islanders, like last night, had 3 goals on 12 shots at one point. So, and then they're one of the best defenders. Brett Pesce might not be ready to go, but again, I think this series is probably gonna start Monday. To my guess, they haven't announced it yet, so think that I was hoping this weekend because maybe you get Pesci's gonna miss an extra game or so. I don't know if he'll be ready for the series, but that's somebody too because their back end's pretty it's pretty good, but like you take out their best defensive guy, does give the Rangers a little bit of advantage. But and then the last thing is Vincent Trocheck. He had 6 points in that series. He had 77 on the year. He was so good in the Capitals series. They need him to continue to play well. So this we've seen the Rangers bowl a lot of playoffs here. Like they've had many opportunities the last 30 years to get another cup. These are the 2 best Rangers came the 2 best teams in the Stanley Cup or in the NHL. So whoever wins this series should win the Stanley Cup. But again, you get all the injuries. You get a fluke goal here or there, kind of in a big game, kind of costs you. But they win this series. This is probably the toughest test they get.
Really? And what do you think they do in this series? I think they win it in 7, just like they did 2 years ago.
I'm very concerned. I'll be confident they win at 7, but I'm very worried. They should be playing either the Bruins or the Maple Leafs or the 4-5. They should not be playing the Canes, who are like the 3 seed. I hate how the new format. It really hurts the team like the Rangers.
It does. It definitely does. The team that won the President's Trophy is playing it. Probably the second best team in hockey in the Carolina Hurricanes. So it should be a really good series between those 2 teams. But that's going to wrap it up this week on Sports Talk with R&J. For Justin and Alfredo, I'm Steve Risser. We'll be back next week talking about the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs, especially that Rangers-Canes series, and the Yankees and Red Sox. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All 4 Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.